Would you like to begin a series of strategies that will propel you into achieving personal mastery? Do you desire to have breakthroughs in unlocking your potential? Do you seek to live a life that is full of joy, peace, and happiness? Each week, join Charles and Demetrius as they share tools and strategies that will help you take control of your life so you can live a life of peace, joy, and abundance. Now here are your hosts, Charles and Demetrius.
And welcome to another episode of Inner Success Radio. This is Chuck Rivers alongside host Billionaire Brown. And we're back for another exciting episode. We made it. Another exciting episode of Inner Success Radio. And we have a very special guest today. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe on iTunes as well as iHeartRadio. And you can also check us out on Facebook at Inner Success Radio. And we're also on Twitter at Inner Success Rad. So Inner Success R-A-D. So before we get into today's show, we're going to go ahead and throw the question of the day back over to you, Demetrius.
All right, fantastic. Let's do this, fellas. Question of the day. I guess this is we'll put it in a question form. People often say, especially in entrepreneurship, people often say that people don't want them to win. For anybody who follows DJ Khaled, he's talking about they. He's always talking about they, right? They're always telling us what we can't do. My question for you is, have you ever experienced someone saying that you will not win to your face or directly to you, let's say over the phone? Okay, so again, I'll say it again because I know we have a lot of people listen to us in the gym. They're on the treadmill, or we also have a huge amount of our listeners that listen to us each week on their way to work. So again, the question is, have you ever experienced someone saying that you will not win, you will not succeed to your face or directly to you over the phone? I want to get personal here if you can. So Chuck, we'll throw it over to you first. Has this ever happened to you?
It actually has, Demetrius, and I don't think I told you this, but when I was going to Morgan, I was actually in the process of writing a book. I had my little black composition notebook, and when I tell you, I was literally writing every single day. Like I think the notebook that I had was almost 3/4 of the way full. And I was just writing. I would be getting my tires changed. I'm sitting there writing. If I'm right before class, I have my book out. I'm sitting there writing. And I didn't tell anybody besides my cousin. So I told my cousin once he found out. Actually, I didn't tell him. He found out that I was writing a book. So I said, look, don't say anything to anybody. Don't say anything to anybody. So we're at my uncle's house one night, and we're all around the table. And I'll never forget this night. So we're sitting there, and we're in there eating. And all of a sudden, my cousin, oh, Charles is writing a book, y'all. Charles is writing a book. And my uncle's a very critical person, in a way, and I don't want to say he had bad intentions, but he didn't know that the impact his reaction would have. But as soon as my cousin said that, my uncle started to bust out laughing. He said, "Charles, you're writing a book on what?" And he was laughing, and I was devastated. So after that, I tried to write. I had that block, man. That something, whatever he said must have something resonated in my mind. Like, all right, Chuck, who are you to write a book? You know what? I think I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna cut that off from you. So it no longer. I was no longer able to get that stuff out. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. I hear you over there laughing, Lorenzo. You must have something in the archives too, man. Share with us as well as our audience, man. Have you ever experienced that before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I wrote my first book, it was met with a lot of opposition. It was met with a lot of negativity. At the time, I was in the Navy, and I went into my work center. And I just got it published, it was brand new. And I had it in my hand. I left it on the desk when I had to go do something. And I come back, and then they'll say, wait, you wrote a book? You're like, well, yeah. This is something I always wanted. I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to inspire, motivate people to be the very best that they can be. And their comments after that were not very supportive at all. They honestly believed that I didn't have the mental capacity to write a book, and that it must have been some type of book report, but not an actual book. It would make constant jokes about it. But yeah, when it comes to, people saying that, hey, it's you're not capable of doing this or you're not capable of doing that, the question you really have to ask yourself is, look, what makes you the expert on me? And like you only you will know you. And a lot of people say that you can't do something because it's a reflection of what they are able to do or what they feel they're not able to do. So it's never really truly about us. So once I learned that, then it got better. It got a lot better because it's no longer you taking anything to heart. Usually when someone's saying something that's discouraging to you or saying something that's against you, it's never really about you. It's more about them.
Right. That's really good. And so it's I guess I'll take a stab at it, right? And mine is I guess imprinted. We had a guest on, what was that, yesterday, Chuck, and he was talking about imprinted. And this scenario for me, it's so imprinted in my head. I wish I could get another day where I can meet this person again, see him again. But I had this job in White Marsh, Maryland at a bank, HSBC Bank. And the gentleman's name was John. He was probably about maybe 60, 65 years old at the time. This was back when I had a job. And I thought it was the most illegal, unprofessional thing that I've ever experienced. Every single day that I walked in to that office, there was about 500 people working there on the floor. My mother taught me, she said, even, I don't know if you guys remember or if they even still have casual days in corporate America, but when I was working, they had this thing called casual day. And my mom would always say, listen, I want you to still dress up the same way you normally dress because you got to dress for success. So I was under that belief and I was gung-ho for that idea. So I would still dress up on casual day. And every single day, even not on casual days, John would stand up in his seat, stand up out of his seat, and he would say, look at Demetrius, all dressed up, going nowhere. And that was my theme, right? Like how we have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in Westfield. Every single day that I went to work, this is what I was greeted by. He would stand up and scream at the top of his lungs, look at Demetrius, all dressed up, going nowhere. And I tell you what, guys, that not only frustrated, annoyed, embarrassed me, but it also lit a fire up under me. Every single day, it lit a fire up under me to become a top performer, and that's exactly what I did, and the rest is the future. Thank you guys for sharing the question of the day, and we're going to pass this back over to Chuck so we can get this thing going.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So Lorenzo Sellers is the founder and CEO of Breakthrough Research International, an organization specializing in the field of breakthrough success training and development of individuals and businesses. Lorenzo is also the #1 success strategist in America. Lorenzo's goal is to help you achieve your personal and business goals faster and easier than you ever imagined. In short time, Lorenzo has consulted for more than 50 small businesses and addressed more than 5,000 people in 50 talks, seminars, and workshops throughout the U.S., Canada, and 4 other countries worldwide. Lorenzo, that's an impressive bio, and of course we're going to get to the work that you do today. But one of the things that we always want to find out from our guests is their journey. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, it started the day I was transferred to San Diego when I was serving in the Navy, and I bumped into what would soon be what I call her my millionaire mentor. How I found out that she was a millionaire, we went to an accessory shop, and she went there and she spent like $8,000 on accessories alone. And then when I drove her back to her house, she said she forgot something, so we drove back and she spent $5,000 more. And it got me curious as to what is it that you do to spend that much money in one day? And what she said next, really changed my life. She was a real estate investor, and she owned over 40 properties in the state of, in San Diego. And I never thought I would meet a millionaire face to face. That's one thing. I never thought I'd meet a millionaire face to face, because I come from a small town in South Carolina, Orangeburg, and there you don't really see too many millionaires, if any at all, down there. It's a real small town, small country town, and coming to California was a culture shock, to say the least. So meeting this impressive woman, I something inside me told me that this was fake. This had to happen for some type of reason, because I was at work one day, and I was thinking to myself that this can't be it. Like, this can't be, wake up, go to work, pay bills, go home, wake up and do it all over again. It couldn't be like this. There had to be more than life than just paying bills. So when I met her, it's like my answer to my question was answered to what other ways are there to live. So she taught, not only did she teach me everything about real estate, but she also taught me principles that she used her entire life to get to where she is today. She worked in the telecom industry for 28 years and rose all the way up to vice president. And it wasn't until she went off and, decided to create her wealth when when the president told her, well, why are you sitting here making a lot of money for this company when you could go out and create your own wealth? You obviously have the brains for it. You obviously have the ambition for it. So why not? So she decided to branch off and, build her real estate empire. But ever since then, and that was one of the most enriching relationships I've ever had, still have. Honestly, she changed my life in more ways than she can possibly imagine. I've always had a passion and a drive to really want to help people. And I enjoyed being Mr. Fix-It. The guy who could just come in, listen to a situation and figure out a solution to it. And a solution that the person will win. And gathering these principles from this amazing woman, it led me to build my company and to write and really reach out to people. And I feel that writing is one of the quickest way to reach out there to people, because you can put your product out there and it's out there immediately. But how I got here today, it was just a real drive to change the world. And one night when I was sitting in my 1-bedroom apartment, which had no AC, by the way. Like, I'm not sure if y'all have ever been to San Diego, but air conditioning is a luxury there. So I'm sitting in this four-wall apartment, and it's so hot. I'm drenching in sweat. And I just remember that moment I got fed up. I got so angry. And I was like, no, this can't be it. This can't be it. So that's when I really decided to put those principles that my mentor taught me. And the rest is history. Like, now I'm traveling the world, speaking to people. I'm building up a reputation here, not only in the United States, but also in overseas countries as well. Because I have several people from Africa calling and asking questions on how they can build effective businesses on their own, or how they can get past certain barriers that they've experienced in their life. And I also remember that I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not. But one thing I do understand is the pain of struggle. I understand the dangers of staying inside your head. And and it really motivated me to really go out there and to really put an imprint in the world and help change the world in any way that I can.
And what's interesting in your story, Lorenzo, is that, and it's not just your story, but stories that are common amongst people who are on this journey, is that there's always this defining moment when people are fed up. I can think of two very successful, one dead, one still living, Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. Jim Rohn's story was he was at home one day and a Girl Scout came to his door and she was trying to sell him cookies. He didn't have any money, so he said he did the next best thing. He lied to her and said, "I already bought some cookies." Right? So he closed the door and he said that was it. He couldn't live that life anymore, and he started to make the changes. Tony Robbins, same story, kind of similar to yours. He was living in California in this small bedroom apartment, didn't have any money to eat. Walked up to the street to get something to eat, had this last $10 or $13 in his pocket, paid for, I guess, a kid's lunch. He left there and said, you know what, I can't live like this anymore. So it's very interesting that theme is coming amongst people who are on your journey.
No, absolutely. It's that moment that you're fed up. It's that moment that you just get so angry at your current circumstance situation, and you just refuse to settle anymore. Like you just refuse to settle for that anymore. And I honestly believe that's the catalyst to why a lot of people do become successful, because you're right. We all have that defining moment where we make a choice, we make a decision, and our life is flow. Our life goes where our decisions go. So we control our lives by the decisions that we make. So yeah, I 100% agree with that.
And also, that's something you can't teach, right? You can't teach somebody to say, well, you have to identify a particular point in your life when you're fed up, right? You just know, like, that's it, right? You just, I can't, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to take anymore. Starting today, from this moment forward, I want to start making the necessary changes to make my situation the way I want it. So, I think that's a very good. And stories, like I said, stories like yours and the other ones are always very inspiring to me, particularly. Now you have, so it sounds like you have a military background, so you have certain skills, right, that people who don't go into the military don't pick up, right? And one of the things that I always say is that I wish I would have had some type of training along those lines, because I know there's a lot of positive things you can pick up from being in the military. But of all the different things in the world that you could have done, like, why did you choose to work in this field of lifestyle development?
Well, to be honest with you, as corny as it sounds, I really picked up on this the moment a coworker introduced me to a documentary called The Secret. I'm sure you two heard of it.
Yeah.
But that was the single most life-changing things I ever seen. Like, I had to pause the documentary after 10 minutes of watching it to take a breather, because my mind was completely blown, because there was a lot of things that documentary was saying that I can honestly say I can relate to, and it really and I was vibing with it. And when that happened, I was like, wow, so everything can be changed by a thought. But after years of working in this field, I realized that it's more than just thought that changes your life, but it's action. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I honestly tried it. I sat there, I was like, okay, so if I think something, it can manifest. So I think, and nothing happened. And then that's when common sense. Now I wouldn't say common sense, but that's when I finally picked up. I was like, nothing's gonna really happen if I'm not doing anything to get to my goals. Yeah. So I have to do something, and in correlation, that will manifest whatever it is that I want. So after I finished watching The Secret, and I think my coworker, I was just like, I owe you my life. He was I started watching a lot of YouTube videos of Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, especially Jim Rohn. He's one of my personal favorites. And a lot of your self-help gurus, and I was like, wow, I can do that. Like, I can do that. That looks like something that I can really get into. I'm really passionate about, because to be honest, I've been giving advice, especially life advice, since I was a teenager. Even in high school, like people will come to me and ask me for my advice. And they say that I gave great advice, and I was just like, wow, this is right up the alley of what they're doing anyway. So I decided, let me try this out. for a couple of years and see where it takes me. And I realized that I had a really strong passion for it because it's nothing as amazing as someone coming up to you saying that you saved my life. Nothing as enriching and fulfilling as that. And the first time that has ever happened, I was like, yes, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Well, and how long have you been in business for?
I've been in business for eight years, almost going on 9.
All right. So you were in the Navy, and I'm interested to know, have you ever read the book Extreme Ownership?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It's this it's a book written by some Navy SEALs, and they apply everything in there to leadership, business, and everything else. And Chuck was just talking about how, being in the military, especially the Navy, right? The Navy and the Marines, and at least from the outside looking in, you guys seem very, very disciplined. And I'm also interested to know, what is one of the biggest disciplines, or I guess skills, that you've, attribute to being in the Navy that you actually really use still in your business today?
I would say the biggest one was leadership. That's the biggest one. I had some pretty amazing mentors while I was in. And one of the things they taught me, and to stay consistent wherever command I went to, I always sought out the most experienced and the wisest leader. And it's not always the one that's yelling all the time. And one thing that I picked up is that, leadership, everything rises and falls with leadership. And if you're able to lead yourself, you're able to lead other people. And I attribute that to my business today, because I truly believe if you're able to lead yourself, practice what you preach, follow your own advice, then you're able to teach other people, and you're able to help lead them to a better lifestyle or to momentous change. So that's one thing I definitely can attribute to the Navy, is my discipline in leadership.
All right. So first and foremost, salute to you for serving. And I guess I'm not surprised that you did say leadership, because a lot of that book, Extreme Ownership, and I'm not sure if you're a reader or not, but if you are, man, you should definitely pick that book up. It's incredible. And one of the things that I learned from that book was that in the Navy, you can't blame. And I know that plays a major part in, what the message that you speak about across the world. What's your take on the blame game?
Oh, man. Well, it was something my grandmother said when I was little. When you're pointing the finger at one person, 3 fingers are pointing right back at you. And so really blaming, you're playing the victim. Honestly, you're playing the victim. I blame this person for the reason why I'm not where I'm at today. And it's all about taking personal responsibility for your life. And I believe that people who constantly play the blame game are not taking responsibility for their lives or their actions or their results. And I believe that one of the first things that you must do to become successful in anything that you do is to take responsibility for what you do, because no matter what situation or circumstance that you wind up in, it's all one common denominator: you. Like, you're in every situation and circumstances. So if the same thing keeps happening, I'll use relationships, for example. If the same thing keeps happening in every single last relationship, and you're constantly blaming, well, it's their fault that the relationship didn't work out, and you go into another relationship and it ends the same way, and you're blaming them and it ends the same way after that, at some point you gotta think to yourself, well, let me take a step back and realize that, wait, the same result is coming out of every single last relationship that I get into. So it couldn't all be them. Like, at some point you got to take responsibility for that. And the moment you take responsibility for that, you're able to control the outcomes of anything that you do, because you took responsibility of it. You realize where fault may lie in you, and you can exceed and become a real top performer that way. So as far as people who plays the blame game all the time, it's you never really take full responsibility, and it'll be really hard to become a top performer that way.
I guess it's true, man. They say there's no I in team, but there's 3 I's in responsibility, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that me and Demetrius put on an event a couple of weeks ago in New Jersey. It was our first live event for the podcast, and our topic for that was a kind of a part to spin off of a previous podcast we've done called The Psychology of Success. And one of we had 5 points that we came up with, and the first one was becoming self-aware. And I think when we're talking about blaming and pointing the finger at other people, not in all the cases, but I think we can say a high percentage of the cases, people just aren't aware that, hey, by blaming, you're not changing the situation, right? By blaming, you literally take the power away from yourself to change the situation. And the example you gave, Lorenzo, when people are in relationships and they go from relationship to relationship, they always say, well, this person was this way, this person was that way, but they never take the time out to evaluate themselves, right? They're always trying to evaluate other people, and that doesn't help change anything, because like I said, it literally just removes all the ability from it. It depowers you. It's a disempowering way to approach any situation by blaming other people, even in the worst case of scenarios, right? Of course, if you're a child and you're being abused and whatnot, like those situations are okay. You have no control of that. But however, when you start to get into the adult years, you can no longer blame that situation on you being stuck, especially if you know that there's strategies for overcoming that. So we all define success differently, right? Success is a very subjective term. But the question that I have 2 questions for you. What does success mean to you personally? And then secondly, why is a success strategist so important for one's success in today's world?
Okay. Success to me is a journey towards a goal that fulfills you. So success isn't about the end result. Success is about the journey that you take to it. Because when you reach that goal, then we have this natural tendency we have to create another goal after we accomplish that one particular goal. So when I tell people, everyone wants to become successful, that doesn't necessarily mean that success means that you have to be rich and famous. You have to have a lot of material possessions or anything like that. Success means that you are doing something that fulfills you. You are doing something that is in correlation to what you feel is your purpose. And that to me is success. Now, why is it important? Why is that important in today's economy? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Because with social media and a lot of music nowadays, it's teaching people that success is about having it all now, instant gratification, and you're supposed to drive the most expensive car on the road, and you're supposed to have the biggest house on the block. You're supposed to be famous and have a lot of followers and likes, and that's what it means to be successful. But in reality, I believe that people are being misled, because you have a lot of people out here who are unfulfilled, which is the name of the game. Like, when we're all searching for success, we're really searching for fulfillment, something that makes us feel whole, something that makes us feel complete. So when you say success, and when we think of success, we should be aiming more towards fulfilling. Like, what fulfills me? What makes me happy? What brings out the best of me? Because usually success and fulfillment runs hand in hand with each other. So you have a lot of people who are taking jobs, and they're working this job, and they're working off the expectations of other people of what success is, instead of doing something that they love to do. I'm working this job because my family worked this job, and they said that's what it means to be successful. And that's, again, going back to taking, responsibility for your life, going back to taking ownership of your own life. If you don't feel happy, if you're not fulfilled, then I honestly believe you're not successful. Because how many successful people, quote unquote successful, people you see who are celebrities, but they run these sex scandals, and they go on drugs, and they do everything possible to destroy themselves, and but yet they have all the money, and people think, well, you must be crazy. Why would you give all that? You have all this money, you're so successful. But just because they have a lot of money, they have a lot of wealth, doesn't necessarily mean that they feel they are successful. They're not fulfilled. It's the same thing that happened with Robin Williams. And I know Tony Robbins went over this a few times himself, but Robin Williams killed himself. And people would say, well, why would he kill himself? He was successful. Everyone knew his name. He was known across the world. But he was so busy doing everything to make other people happy, he rarely had time to do anything that made him happy. So he was unhappy. So he was unfulfilled. And that often leads to destructive behavior in us. So I believe that we need to redefine what success really is and go back to the original definition of what success is. And y'all two heard of Earl Nightingale, correct?
Strangest secret, of course.
So he often says that success is the lady working up the street at the flower shop, and she's happy. Success is about the guy who set a goal and reached it, and that's his goal, no matter how big or small. So when we play these games in society, how we're going to become successful by doing what our parents did, then you really got to ask yourself, well, does that make you happy? If not, then why are you doing it?
All right, so we're talking a lot about happiness, and I love the fact that you just referenced Robin Williams, and also your take on it. Les Brown, I heard you mention him earlier. He put a forward on my Silver Dollar ebook, and has done a lot of great things for myself and my family over the years. And one of the things that he said, you probably heard it maybe on an audio or maybe video, or if you've seen him live. He speaks a lot about a lot of us when we're trying to reach whatever that success is that you just explained. Oftentimes, our quickest reflex is to say, "What is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? What did I do?" Right? And Les Brown said something so simple, but at the point in my life when I first heard him say it, a light bulb went off. Oprah Winfrey would call it a aha moment. He said, it's not always what's wrong with us. He said a lot of the times it's who's wrong with us. What is I know as a success strategist, I know that a lot of people, once you clear away when the dust settles and you remove all those clouds and all the dust from all of the mess that people come to you for, do you oftentimes see that it's not necessarily the individual, but it may be the people that's around them? What's your take on that? Who's wrong with me? Yes.
That is absolutely true. Birds of a feather flock together. And we are the equivalent of the 5 friends that we hang out with. And we get our results. Who we hang out with, who we let influence our lives, we get those same results. Absolutely true. I believe that in able to reach your goal, you need to surround yourself with people who are moving towards a goal in that area too, who has that same type of drive, who has that same type of passion, people who are more like you, that fits the type of lifestyle that you want to live. So let's say that if you hang out with a bunch of negative people, but you're going in a positive direction, what's going to wind up happening? All that negative energy, all that negativity is going to rub off on you. And then you're going to start doubting yourself after a while, because these are the people that you're seeking counsel from. And it's so true, and it goes in line with this book that I'm currently reading now, called "The Richest Man in Who Ever Lived." Have you heard of it?
No.
No, I heard the richest man in Babylon, but not that one. The richest man who ever lived. Not that.
The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. It's a breakdown of the Bible and Proverbs, the story of King Solomon. And one of his principles is that be careful who you seek counsel from, because that will lead you to wherever that the counselor's agenda is. So when we hang out with our friends, we take advice from our friends. We take we live our lifestyle according to what most people surrounding us do, what they will live. So when we hang out with negative people, we're going to get negative results most of the time, because that negativity is rubbing off on you, and it'll eventually affect whatever it is that you're doing. You hang out with positive people, you're going to move more in a positive direction, because it's kind of hard to be negative when you're surrounded by a lot of positive. So
let me get a punchline question in there. When you made the transition to entrepreneurship, did you have this challenge with rearranging? Some people call it personal inventory of your circle. Did you have that challenge, or were you blessed and unique in that way, where your circle was all going in the right direction from day one?
Oh no, not at all.
Tell us a little bit about that, because a lot of people struggle with that. Some people go back to mediocrity because of that same fact, right? They don't want to leave their circle of comfort, right? So I'm curious. We would love to know, like, how was that transition for you? Was it easy? Was it difficult?
It was by far one of the most difficult things I ever had to do. One, because my friends at the time were not the most positive. At that time, the majority of my friends were drinkers. They were drinkers. They were partiers. They really wasn't concerned about, entrepreneurship or moving in a positive direction. They were just all about, clock in, clock out, go to work. Don't, here I'm about to bring you some drama, the newest rumor that's going around, that sort of thing. So it was very difficult cutting those friends out of my life, because don't get me wrong, I loved my friends very much, but I knew that if I was to go anywhere, I had to surround myself with people who were going in the same direction. And most of the resistance that I got when I first started my entrepreneurship did come from my circle of friends, because they were saying things like, rich people are these people who are greedy, people in business, they just want your money, don't worry about all that. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years. They'll throw all these quote unquote facts out at me, trying to discourage me. And that's when I realized that, why are you trying to discourage me? As a friend, you should be encouraging me to move forward with this. And when that happened, I lost a lot of friends along the way. And you know what? I honestly believe when you lose one friend, you gain another. And I lost the friends that I started off with, but I gained some really amazing, caring, most loving friends that a man can ever have. So I'm blessed for that now. But as far as in the beginning, no, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. One of the hardest decisions I ever had to do was delete the number and just move on with our lives. We was going in two completely different directions.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really good. And my story is kind of similar to yours as far as circle wise. Like right here in Baltimore, and I don't have like the only way that I connect with positive people right now is talking with Demetrius and then the guests that we bring on. And then, of course, I have my audios on throughout the day, but I really don't have a core group of people here locally who are on the same path as me. So the question that I have for you is people that are in my type of situation who realize that, hey, I need to get myself surrounded with people who are on the same path. Like, what can we do, especially if, well, Demetrius is going to get me for this one. So I consider myself introverted. So if you tell me to go to a networking event, I probably won't do that. However, if you tell me to go to like a meetup group, which it probably just falls under the same thing, but I guess that word network is, to me, is just But if you say, hey Chuck, go to this meetup, it's a group of business owners, I would do that, but I wouldn't go there per se as to get contacts, right? I would just go there and say, hey, my name is Charles, this is what I do, X, Y, Z. So for me, it would have to be organic. So people that are in my situation, what would you suggest that they do?
Well, I have a few ways that you could that one can do that. How I gained the new friends that I did, I entered the field of network marketing, which is by far one of the most. If you ever been to a network marketing event or live event or conference, it's one of the most energizing things that you can ever go to, because people are so excited, they're so positive, they're so optimistic, and I gained a lot of new friends that way, because you have a group of people who really look towards the future and change their lives and want to help other people do the same thing, and they understand the term of teamwork. They understand the term of getting along with each other, or just working together to reach a common goal. They understand that. So that was one way that I would recommend that people probably look more into. I know with network marketing, it has a bad rap. People often call them pyramid schemes and things toward that nature. But with legit network marketing companies, I honestly believe that you can completely change your entire life if you just move forward. Because 9 times out of 10, we hear network marketing is bad for someone else. But then again, you got to look at that person's situation and really ask yourself, do I want to take advice from that person? Are they living the lifestyle that I want to live? Probably not. So it's just moving forward and trying something new and breaking from routine. The other way is listening to a lot of positive videos and audios, which I do on a daily basis. No music is ever played in my car after that day. I changed my entire life. Like, ever since, I would drive, like, the only thing that would be playing in my car is either Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, or the newest person I just picked up, Gary Vaynerchuk. And I would just be listening to positivity all day long, because I know that I cannot allow negative energy to possess my mind again, because I've been down that road before, and I have no desire to go back down that road. And that's one way that you can completely change your entire outlook on life. Because I was once an introvert myself, and I would stay to myself a lot. So what I did first was, one, listen to those personal development audios almost on a 24/7 basis. And that would fill me up with so much positivity that talking to someone outside in town was never an issue for me after that, because it helped me build up confidence in myself. And now I'm more extrovert now than I am introvert again, because I realized that you just have to trust in the goodness of people. Because we go through society all the time, people giving you dirty looks, or people not talking to you, or people looking down on their phones. But when you get an opportunity to say, hello, how are you? And you approach it with so much positivity, you have opportunity to forge a new relationship. So those are my two main ways that how I met more people.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's funny that I actually met Demetrius through network marketing about 8 years ago. The company that he's with, and I've been through several network marketing companies. So network marketing personally wasn't for me, but you're right. Now I've definitely developed some powerful relationships through network marketing, especially with one company that was in my upline. We were constantly talking, and she was a high performer, but it's just one of those things that just didn't stick for me, right? So I'm on the path that I'm on now, and I don't think it wouldn't have been, if it wasn't for network marketing and meeting Demetrius, I don't think I would be on this path I am right now.
Exactly. See, and that's why I contribute a lot of where I am now to that area, because I've been through several network marketing companies myself, and I'm currently working alongside with one right now, and working with the people within it. And one thing that I could
What company is that?
Kayani.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And right now, I'm just working alongside with the people here, so that way they can build a major outing out here on the East Coast. But one thing I could attribute to where I am now today is that a lot of my relationships with the positive people that's in my life came from network marketing too. So I honestly do believe that it's not meant for everybody. I'm not going to be one of those people that tell you, hey, network marketing is meant for everybody. But one thing I will say though, that there are a lot of things that you learn while you're a part of it that you could take with you, and you can flourish in anything else that you go into, because you know how to network, you know how to talk to people, you know how to build a solid organization, a solid business. So yeah, I would definitely say that's a great positive way of meeting people.
And what's interesting, I think last month, Demetrius, we had on Heather Havenwood, and she was talking about network marketing, and she said that's a good transition for people who are in corporate America, right? Because it has that same structure as corporate America, just still rules and things you have to follow. However, you have a ton more autonomy with your time and how you and pretty much your value determines how much money you make, right? Whatever value you bring to the marketplace, how you present your product or service, how you work with your team, all depends on what all be a factor in how much money you make, as opposed to corporate America where you get a fixed hourly rate, a fixed salary, and no matter how hard you perform, you may even go up $5,000 or $10,000 a year or whatever. But network marketing, you can go from $10,000 to six figures, depending on how hard you work.
Right. 100%. I couldn't agree more.
And you're still in South Carolina?
Oh no, I'm in Virginia.
Oh, what part of Virginia?
Norfolk.
Oh, you're in Norfolk. Virginia is is state for lovers, right?
Yes, it said Virginia is for lovers.
Yeah. I went to what is it? Massanutten Resort, I think it is. It's somewhere in Massanutten or something like that. It's in Virginia.
Right.
But all right, so that's cool. So you're in you've as a success strategist. Okay, that's a little tongue twister for me. Too many S's.
Yeah, that's why I was tongue tied.
Success strategist, right? So, out of all I think I believe I read you worked in 8 different countries for what you do. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm always fascinated to know, right? I've been able to visit 16, countries, some of them twice, but the wave of entrepreneurship right now and the wave that you're on, when I saw that, you didn't just visit them, you also worked there. I can't say the same for all 16 that I've been to, which I definitely commend. With this new wave of entrepreneurship and as a success strategist, what is I know you shouldn't do this. They say you shouldn't have a favorite cousin, a favorite aunt, a favorite whatever, but I'm very fascinated to know what is your favorite country, or your biggest growth, or the biggest feedback that you get out of those 8 countries that you've worked in.
My favorite country?
Well, yeah, your biggest impact, I guess, where it just penetrated like none of the other 7.
I would have to say it was Bahrain. Bahrain. Reason being is because I still have friends that I speak to over there, and it had a major impact on me because it helped me shift my view from other than outside the United States. So if anyone knows anyone from South Carolina, not a lot of people get out of South Carolina. So when you're afforded the opportunity to travel the world, you pretty much take it. So when I went to Bahrain, of course I was still enlisted in the Navy, but other than just doing my job, I was also building my brand over there as a success strategist. And one thing that I figured out very quickly is that people overseas are very open to new ideas. They're very open to new possible ways of living life and truly maximizing on life. And the biggest impact that it had on me was the level of love that they gave me while I was over there. and just speaking to different people from different countries, like Saudi Arabia. You had a few people there from Iraq. This was during the time when 9/11 happened not too long ago. It was like 4 years after the fact I went to Bahrain. And just speaking to this one guy from Saudi Arabia helped me change my view on people in general, because we painted this picture that people from the desert were these dangerous men and these dangerous people. But as I spoke to this guy, and we were all at a friend's house, at my friend's house, Pizzo. She's from South Africa. We were all there, and we were just talking about sports, just the level of living, just truly enjoying your life. And it made me realize that, you know what, they're not like, with every society, you're gonna have your couple of bad seeds, but that doesn't make the entire bunch bad. That just makes those seeds, those few seeds bad. So I say the biggest impact that I got over there was just learning the different cultures of people and just broadening my horizon with the knowledge of different people in the world. And that's what fed my appetite to travel to other countries and to speak there, and just to really expand my knowledge on the different cultures and the different ways of life that people are living in the world. Because I believe that, if you stay in one place, it's kind of hard to open your mind to different things. So I believe that even with this new wave of entrepreneurs, I highly encourage that people travel outside the United States, travel the world, really get a good grasp on what the world is like.
So you have more than enough stamps in your passport for me to also want to know your take on this. I once heard a extremely wise person say, traveling is the best form of education. What do you think about that?
I agree, because it teaches you how to talk to different people with different religions, different views, different mindsets, and it also helps you to understand why a certain country is that way and why they are doing the things you do. It's like taking off your own shoes and putting someone else's shoes on just for a day. And you're able to learn so many different things just by speaking to the people who live it every day. So yeah, I think it's definitely one of the best forms of education you could possibly have.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome. So Lorenzo, you have a book called The $1 Million Mind. Now, is this a book that has your 5 cycles of change?
No. My book that has the 5 cycle change is You're Already Awesome.
You're already awesome. Okay, so I want to focus on that as we begin to wind down here. So in that particular book, you have the 5 cycles of change. Can you quickly go over those and how they affect a person's life and business?
Okay. The 5 cycles of change. The 5 cycles of change. It's the main source of all our results that we see in life, and we all have these 5 cycles that we go through before the change actually happens. And it's not like a cycle that's super slow. It's instantaneous. It happens on the go. So the 5 cycles are your belief system, your belief cycle, your value cycle, your attitude cycle, your action cycle, and your habit cycle. And in the core of all that is your belief cycle, because what you truly believe in will create most every single result that you get out of life. So if you say that I'm not good enough to do this, I'm not good enough to do that, that's going to affect what you value in life, which will affect the type of attitude that you have going into whatever it is that you do, which will affect and change the type of action that you take, which will create the habit that you have. And a lot of people, we have destructive habits, so you can always trace that destructive habit back to a belief that a person has. So with your habit system, it's as simple as breaking your normal routine. I just, for example, and it's a really simple question. Like, how many times have you drove in to and back from places and you went to that same place constantly every single day, and you drove all the way home, but you don't remember how you got there?
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of times.
Well, that's the effect of routine. That's the effect of just having that habit. It helps us in a way to create a surefire plan that we carry out every single day. So that's why there's such thing as good habits and bad habits. You know, good habits helps you get to where you want to go. Bad habits take you away from where you want to go. So a lot of people live life living one way, but expecting the results of living another type of way. So we can accredit that to our routine, and which is our habits. So the best way to do that is to break the habit that you're doing. Do something completely different. Like for example, when you said that it was hard for you to network with other people, but with your goal in mind, what you really want to do is you really want to impact the world. You're going to have to talk to people, right? So with that, it's all about breaking your current routine, really taking a good look at what you do on a daily basis and change a few things around. That's it. A simple change or a simple tweak here and there can change your entire life. It'll change your entire the way you live and the type of results that you see immediately. That's why in the book I talk about the habit cycle first. I talk about that first because I wanted people to see immediate change, because I believe that motivation comes from progress. Because if we could see ourselves moving forward, that's going to motivate us more to move forward. Okay, so this is really working. I can see some things are changing now, and I'm getting a completely different result. Let's say that you're in a relationship and you're always yelling at your significant other. And the result, your relationship is horrible. But if you change your habits of that and you start being more nice to the person, then your relationship has a chance of flourishing and it has a chance to grow. Same thing when you're talking to other people. If you have a habit of being, in the corner at the party, being the quietest one at the party, is it that hard to believe that you're not gaining new friends? So you have to change what you're currently doing, because it's like what Les Brown said. If you keep on doing what you're doing, you'll keep on getting what you're getting. So you change what you're doing and you'll receive a different result. And then I go into the action part. Now, without action, you won't be able to create a habit, because it's hard to create a habit when you're not doing anything. So your actions control 99% of what it is that you get out of life. So if a lot of people, and it's a big problem with society today, we're overloaded on information. We have a ton of information with the power of social media and Google and Yahoo and Bing. We can find any resource. We can reach out and get any resource that we want. But the only problem is there's a reason why a lot of people read self-help books, but their life still doesn't change, because they don't act on what they know. They don't act on what they just learned. So when you're not acting on what you just learned, it's hard to create a new habit. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So with that, you have to realize the importance of execution, and realizing that acting on what you know will help you get a result. Because one of the examples that I put in my book is that all the subjects that you see in college today, math, science, all these subjects that we are learning, it had to come from somewhere. Did the people who create those subjects have their diploma? No, they were the originators of it. People are learning from them. So how did they learn all that? Well, once it was theory, but you know what? They acted on it and they created something, and now it helped the world. Now people are learning from it. It's the most basic form of learning there is. Just act on it and you'll learn along the way. Now, what controls our actions? What influences our actions? is the type of attitude that we take going into it, because there is a such thing as a positive action and a negative action. Positive action will lead you more forward. A negative action will either keep you still or pull you back. So our attitude has a great influence on what we see. So the type of results we get. And it was one of my mentors that told me that attitude will determine your altitude more than your aptitude. So it's not, attitude will determine how well you do everything. It won't teach you. It won't help you to do everything and anything, but it will help you do everything better. It'll help you improve. So if you have a positive attitude going into something, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to become more successful than the person who has a negative attitude going into something. But how are our attitudes created? What determines the type of attitude that we have going into things? It's what we value. Let me ask you a question. If you valued more sitting on the couch and just watching TV over building your business and impacting the lives of many, are you going to have a great attitude going into impacting lives and creating change in the world versus sitting on your couch, which is your top priority? No, you won't, because you have a negative attitude towards that. But that's not the case for y'all. Your priority is to help change people's lives, which is why we're sitting here now. It's the exact reason why we're sitting now, because you have a positive attitude going toward this. If you had a negative attitude going toward this, I seriously doubt y'all would be here. But this is something that you value. And that's why I really wish people to see that what we value, what we prioritize in life, we get. So if we prioritize freedom more than security, you have a better chance of being an entrepreneur than someone who's working the standard 9 to 5. Because you're not going to have freedom at a 9 to 5. That's not its primary function. Is to give you freedom. Its primary function is for you to be there to help someone else build their dream. So it's not about freedom at the 9 to 5. But if you value freedom more, you have people who value freedom more, and you could tell a lot about entrepreneurs. You could tell what their top priority is, or one of their top priorities, or what they value the most. They value freedom. And what determines our values? Our beliefs. What we tell ourselves, the story we tell ourselves every single day. If we believe that life is unfair, if we believe that the world is this big, nasty place, then we're not going to value much. We're not going to have a positive attitude. We're going to lean more toward a negative attitude, which leads to what we do. And what we do, once we do it enough, we create a habit out of it. Creates a destructive force. And it's vice versa. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in the goodness of people, if you believe in your dream, if you believe that you are capable of doing anything that you can or that you want to do, then that's going to produce your overall result. So when we say that we want to change the world, we want to change the world in a positive way, you can bet that the person has a very, very, very amazing belief about themselves and their ability to do something. Versus someone who sits and complains all day long about the same old thing. They believe that they are powerless. They believe that they don't have control over what happens. So that's why they blame. And they have this nasty habit of blaming people. They have this attitude, this negative attitude going into it. So I hope all this makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm making much sense.
No, you definitely are. But what's interesting, and actually what's more frustrating for me is, you have people that you love, right? You have this group of people, whether it's family, friends, or whatever, and you see a cycle that they're going through, right? They complain about life, they complain this is not working out, they complain about the job, complain about the kids, complain about this, but then they binge watch a TV, they binge watch a show on Netflix, right? And you're like, okay, all right. So, but then they complain to you about it. It's like, well, why? Look, okay. So it's like, look, you got to stop doing this, right? Just X, Y, and Z. This is why you're getting the results. This is why this is happening. This is why this is happening. If you just make slight shifts, right? You don't have to completely stop watching TV, but if you just shifted some of that energy towards, like you said, listening to personal development tape, reading books, flooding your mind with all these positive messages, your beliefs are going to start to change. Once your beliefs start to change, like you said, your values are going to start to change. Once your values start to change, you're not going to value binge watching Netflix as much as you are making sure that, hey, if I'm going to start transitioning into entrepreneurship, or I'm going to read books on improving my relationship, or I really want to lose weight, so I'm going to start getting in the gym. So it's a slight shift. There's an analogy that Tony Robbins uses. He talks about this huge ship. You can imagine like a huge cruise ship, and in order for the ship to turn, there's like a little propeller right at the bottom of the ship, and I think it's like an inch or maybe 2 inches long. He says if you move that thing to the left to the right only a few centimeters, this 1,000-ton ship is going to change directions off that slight centimeter shift, right? So we're not telling you guys you have to completely stop watching TV. We're saying make those slight shifts. Like you, Lorenzo, you said you drove in your car and all you did was listen to personal development audio, right? So you were literally just flooding your mind, like you said, literally 24/7, which changed your beliefs, it changed your values, and you are where you are today.
Yes.
So that's really huge.
It's changing, introducing doubt to what you currently believe. Yeah. And when you introduce doubt to what you currently believe, now you got to question, okay, what I've been believing in this entire time is not syncing up with what I've been hearing my entire life. When people tell me that rich people are greedy, that's a belief. That's not actually accurate. There are some people out there who are, but that's not speaking for everyone. So when I met my mentor, it introduced doubt to what I believed. I was like, well, wait a minute. She's not greedy at all. If anything, she's one of the most caring, giving person I've ever met. I mean, heck, she even offered to buy me the Bentley that I really wanted. But I didn't take it. Because I was like, I don't want your money, I want your wisdom. So it introduced doubt to why I believe that rich people are greedy and they only want out for your money. Well, I have this woman who was trying to give me hers. So once that doubt was created, I really started looking more into it and realized that that belief was invalid. It was completely invalid. And now that I've been flooding my mind with this, I do believe in the power of the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind that controls our actions. Our conscious mind doesn't really control our actions. It's our subconscious. And another word for subconscious is my belief cycle. It's the belief cycle. That's what you truly believe. Your body's going to move whatever is repeated in your head all day long, especially in the back of your head. So that's when you have like hypnotherapy programs that are out there. I believe those will really work. I believe those really work. Reason being is because you're feeding into your subconscious mind. If you're hearing something over and over again, nonstop, and your mind is completely flooded with it, you're changing your beliefs. You introduce the doubt and you're changing your beliefs. So you start doing things that in correlation to what you're listening to. For example, music, especially hardcore rap music. Now I come from what they call the dirty South. And the music down there, it's more of getting into fights in the club, getting crunk, and just committing these acts of violence. And the more you listen to this every single day, the more it influences you, and it influences your beliefs. Because music is nothing more, especially if you listen to the hook, music is nothing more than affirmations, repeated over and over and over again. So keep in mind, the hook is the same thing every single time. That's an affirmation. And if you listen to that song so much that you know the song lyric by lyric, word for word, it's got into your subconscious. And guess what your life is going to reflect? It's going to reflect whatever you believe in. So that's why I flood my car. I flood my car with personal development, because I realized the power behind that. And yes, it changes every aspect of your life completely.
All right, so as we begin to wind down here, Lorenzo, we're going to go ahead and throw it back at you, Demetrius, for any final questions and closing remarks.
All right, awesome. And before I give my last question and also any closing remarks, success strategist, besides being an author, as we're well aware of, as well as a speaker, why would our listeners contact you? Like, is it for you to come speak to their school, their company, to their organization? Is it to, do a book launch? Like, why are people contacting you? Why can people contact you?
People can contact me when they hit a roadblock, because the simplest term for what I do is to help remove roadblocks from people's progress. And we all hit them from time to time. And my sole purpose is to help you move past that roadblock, or what I like to say all the time, to fight your Goliath. Because we all have that giant that's standing in our way that we just find so difficult to defeat. But I believe that once we become aware that this giant is standing in front of us, then we can definitely reach our goals a lot faster and in half the time. Because once you don't fear the giant anymore, there's nothing standing in your way. So, yes, people can contact me usually when they want a speaker. I can speak to schools. I can speak to students. I can host book events and really sit down, and even consultation with people. Because I can sit down with people and really help them understand what it is that may be holding them back, and create a plan or a strategy that can help them move past that in half the time that it would have took them. So in short, it's to shorten the learning curve completely.
Do you think that I have a few of my own strategies that I've been game planning in my head for a pretty long time now, and I believe I know what the solution could be. Before I give my closing remarks, I wanted to find out from someone like you. This police brutality and killing unarmed black men in America has really gotten out of control. And it's to the point where I have a nephew, I have nieces, and I'm concerned for them at points, especially in the areas of the country that they live. What would you tell a police officer that's listening right now? Or let's say you got invited to a police department to speak about this police brutality. What do you see from your side as a solution, or that an understanding that they need to have so that they're not abusing their rights?
Okay. That's a great question. A great question. I've been thinking about that for a long time myself, ever since, the Trayvon Martin incident. The best way that I can explain it is to stop seeing African Americans as something that they're not. It was put into a video that I saw not too long ago, where this guy explained it perfectly, very beautifully. He said that he used the example of butterflies and spiders. And he was like, when you see a butterfly in your house, what are you going to do? Are you going to try to kill it, or are you going to try to open the door to let the butterfly out? And our natural response is, well, we're going to open up the door and let the butterfly out. I mean, no one wants to kill a butterfly, because we don't see that butterfly as a threat. Now, think of a spider. Are you going to try to let the spider out, or are you going to smack it with your shoe? You're going to smack it with your shoe instinctively, because you see the spider as a threat. What I believe that the majority of police are seeing nowadays, and I completely blame the media for this. It's a form of affirmation again. It's we as African Americans are not portrayed in the best light in the United States. We're portrayed as these these violent criminals just trying to hurt people all the time. So what a police officer sees us as are spiders. They see us as spiders. So I understand that people want to change the system and change the laws, but that still won't stop the person from seeing you as a spider. And I'm a big, and like we said before, taking responsibility for it is what it is. I believe that we're not helping, like, there's a few of us that are not helping the cause at all either, because we decided to play into the stereotype that people fit for us, if that makes sense. We fit into the violent, dangerous, this, and we see that as cool. And I believe to understand why cops are doing this, it would be best to put it like that. They see African Americans as spiders, and they sense a threat. So I think our movement forward, if I'm speaking to the police, is to help them understand and to cope with that particular belief that African Americans are dangerous. Because remember, our beliefs lead to our results, and it definitely influences our actions. So if we believe that our life is going to be on the line, basically it's like in the military. If someone is shooting at you and they're posing an immediate threat to your life, the thing is, it's either you or that guy. So you're going to definitely choose you. So it's training the police on and completely shifting what's in their belief cycle right now. Completely shifting that. And the best way to do that is to show evidence that we are not as bad as they see us or they believe us to be. So wow, I really been thinking about this. That's a good question. Like, the best way to do that, and I put this out to my brothers and sisters, is that we need to move forward and move out of that stereotype that media, that the news have put us in. We must be more than that, become more than that. Because will people ever stop believing that African Americans are threats? I don't believe so, not anytime soon. But I believe with time and moving forward in a positive direction, looking at ourselves, if we're trying to fit into that stereotype, fit into something else that's truly you. Because what I found out through working with people is that stereotype, that's not really them. They fit that because it was what their community promoted. It's what they believed and was growing up to be cool. So they take that into adulthood as well. But I'm not saying, so I say that I wouldn't say the blame, but the responsibility lies in both of us, both in the African American culture and both in the police culture. The police we need to change their belief cycle around and introduce doubt. And the best way to introduce doubt into their belief system is by us becoming more than what these stereotypes of us are about.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love it. And my closing remarks is very simple. Thank you.
It's been an honor. I truly enjoyed this with y'all. I had a lot of fun.
And Lorenzo, thanks for coming on to piggyback off Demetrius. You shared a lot of great information. Where can people find out more about you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Lorenzo L. Sellers. And the page name is the Success Strategist. Also, they can find me on my website at www.breakthroughpro.org. If they look me up, they can type in my name in Google and find all the information on me. So you can reach me out in those two outlets and through Google as well.
Perfect. And you're also on social media as well.
Yes. Facebook and Twitter. My handle name is Lorenzo L. Sellers across the board.
Perfect. All right, so I end every show with a scenario, and so I have one for you, Lorenzo. So the Lorenzo today, say you had an opportunity to go back in time to the Lorenzo who met this millionaire lady. Knowing what you know now, what's one of the first things that you would have asked her?
One of the first things I would have asked her.
You know,
Wow.
let's make it even more. Let's even go a little deeper than that. So if she says, "All right, Lorenzo, you only have one question to ask me," what would that one question be?
How did? Wow, that's a tough question. Think about it. What would I ask her if I only had one question? My first question would have been, what principles did you live to get to where you are today? I would seriously ask her what her principles were.
Awesome. Well, Lorenzo, thanks so much for coming on again. And everybody, thanks so much for listening in. For the topics for today's show will definitely be in the show notes. We'll have links to Lorenzo's information in the show notes as well. And just always remember that you're awesome, you're great, and don't let anybody tell you any different. And until next episode, we'll talk to you later. Peace.
Thank you.